Yeah, something went wrong on the on my last live stream because I was trying to use OBS and see, I apologize, but some of you should know that it's like I'm almost simultaneously a veteran of live streaming and a total beginner, total novice at live streaming. Yeah, I'm almost both at the same time. So you're gonna have to bear with me. Yeah, the last attempt I tried to use what's called Streamlabs OBS, but it was messing me up. Okay, let me see here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, if the audio is thumbs up and the video is thumbs up, put number 1 in the chat room. If the audio's thumbs up and the video's thumbs up, put number 1 in the chat room. Okay. Right now we got about 40 people. I had 55 in the last one, so it's gonna come up. I see Amari. I see Craig Tomahawk. What's up, Craig? This reminds me of my Patreon exclusive live streams. I always call out people, but there's so many people I'm not gonna be able to call out everybody. I see old school Tony Carter. What's up, my man? I see something that I can't even pronounce. But he says, greetings, ARC. Greetings to you, Chibley. Jeremy Warner, one of my early selected moderators. I see Tampa Supreme in my chat room. I see Johnny Streams in my chat room. I see Damon 23 in my chat room. Titan Moore in my chat room. I see my man Mel in my chat room. Now, Mel, I thought I had made you a moderator. Unless it's a different Mel. Jansen Austin, welcome to my chat room. Coley, I see my man Coley is in my chat room. Go ahead and make Coley. See, I need my moderators in case some haters try to sneak in here. I'm gonna touch on that in a second. DR Austin is in my chat room. Where's my I need my glasses. You know me, man. I'm getting old. I can't see. Okay, that's better. E. Capone is in my chat room. I got Iceberg S in my chat room. Gerald Draymond is in my chat room. Alan Rockstar is in my chat room. Who else I got in here? The webinar NSFW is in my chat room. Username 3 is in my chat room. A Wiz is in my chat room. Ollie Brooks is in my chat room. Atro Debonair is in my chat room. 7 the Gentleman is in my chat room. Harvey Williams is in my chat room. Antonio Omero is in my chat room. Jason H is in my chat room. Ricardo Pino is in my chat room. Razi K. Harris is in my chat room. Player B is in my chat room. And he says, Mo one for life. Mo! 1 in the house. Mo 1, baby. Jaquan is in my chat room. Mr. Bell is in my chat room. GT Playboy is Mo 1. That's right. Mo 1, baby. Mo 1. AR, Muscle Music. Mo 1. That's right. That's right. That's right. Great Black Shark. What up? What up? Get this ball rolling. Okay. As people know, I technically did my first live stream 3 days ago. Today is Friday, Tuesday. Tuesday was technically my first YouTube live. Now, the reason I say technically, my very first video podcast after I got on YouTube was on April 5th. Interesting enough, it was on April 5th. And then my last live stream was on October 5th. So you're talking about literally exactly 4.5 years later. Exactly 4.5 years later. Yeah, the first video podcast I ever did on YouTube was on April 5th of 2017. But the video quality was so horrible. You think the video quality you just saw in that previous live stream today when I was trying to use Streamlabs OBS was horrible. Oh man, it was horrible. It was horrible. So yeah, I'm gonna have to learn how to use Streamlabs OBS because I can't fuck with that right now. But yeah, that was my one other attempt. Yeah, the audio quality wasn't too bad. I went back and listened to it for that April 5th, 2017 live stream. The audio quality was decent. It wasn't great, but it was decent. But the video quality was horrible. Video quality was horrible. And that's what made me turn to doing pre-recorded, uploaded videos here on YouTube. Now, as my Patreon subscribers know, I've been doing live streams through a platform called Crowdcast since mid to late June of 2017. Mid to late June of 2017 was when I first started doing Patreon exclusive live streams. And I do an average of 2 per month, every month for my Patreon subscribers. I do one Patreon exclusive live stream for my $5 subscribers and up, $5 and up. And then I do a second Patreon exclusive live stream for my $10 subscribers and up. My $10 and up. Oh, I see a super chat. See, that's why I wanted to use the Streamlabs OBS, is because somebody told me it gives you a way to highlight the super chats on the screen. That's what I want to find a way to do, is highlight, but I still haven't found out how to do that. But I appreciate it to it. You know, Tuesday was my first time ever receiving super chat earnings, ever. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why a lot of my followers, supporters, and just other content creators for the last 2 or 3 years been like, Alan, man, why don't you live stream, man? You leaving money on the table. I had so many people tell me that. Primarily a lot of my loyal followers and supporters, and then a few other content creators. They was like, dude, you're leaving money on the table by not live stream. I know you like to do your Patreon exclusive deal, but you're leaving money on the table, man. But a lot of this live stream is going to talk about why I haven't done live streams up until now and what I plan on doing in the future. Basically, it's like this. Again, I'm almost simultaneously a veteran at streaming and a novice at streaming. I'm a novice specifically at streaming here on YouTube. Here on YouTube, I'm a novice. This will only be my third live stream ever on YouTube. Technically, this is really, in terms of both good video quality and good audio quality, really, this is my, hold on a second. I'm adjusting my microphone, so I don't have to talk so loud. Get it closer to my mouth. Technically, this is only my second live stream on YouTube. Now, again, I just mentioned I've been doing live streams through Crowdcast for my Patreon subscribers since late June, early July of 2017. And it's different. See, here's been, I'll openly, you know me, I like to keep shit real. Here's one of the reasons why I've hesitated to do live streams here on YouTube. If you caught my last live stream, which a lot of you guys did, you'll notice that at the end, quite a few people noticed, at the very, very, very end, as I was wrapping up, I actually got emotional. I got choked up. And that feeds into a lot of people saying, you know, ARC, man, he's so emotional, man. He's so emotional. Now, other people will rephrase that and say, no, Alan's actually very passionate. I would say both are probably true. I'm very passionate about what I do as a book author and a dating coach, but I have my moments when, like, I remember one YouTube video off the top of my head where I remember getting emotional. I would say more so unexpectedly emotional. I was doing a video and I happened to bring up my father. And yeah, I was talking about the great relationship I had with our father. It's funny, I think most of y'all, both men and women, can relate to this. If you're talking about something like sentimental, now there's some people that just never get emotional about anything. If their favorite dog died, they just don't get emotional. If their mother, father died, they don't get emotional. There's some people like that. Now, I have to point out, not all the time, but sometimes if you never get emotional on anything, that could mean you're like a sociopath. That's one characteristic of a sociopath. Sociopaths don't get emotional over anything. Like their mother could die, they don't get emotional. Their father could die, they don't get emotional. One of their siblings could die, they don't get emotional. Their wife could die, they don't get emotional. That's one of the characteristics of being a sociopath. I'm not saying everybody who doesn't get emotional is a sociopath, but there's a good percentage that are. Anyway, one of the reasons I got emotional at the end of the live stream on Tuesday is kind of correlated to why I haven't really done live streams up to this point. If anybody's been following me for ever since I got on YouTube, man, I've never gotten this much haterade from other people, more particularly men, in my entire career as a book author and dating coach. Not to say that I didn't get any haterade at all before I came to YouTube. Surely I did. I got a certain small percentage of haterade going back as far back as 1999, 2000, 2001. Like, I give you an example. I was a host for a show on Blog Talk Radio, an audio podcast show called Upfront and Straightforward with Alan Roger Currie. I hosted that show from June of 2007 until early to mid-June of 2016. So you're talking about 9 years. When I was on Blog Talk Radio, man, I hardly ever, and you're talking about over a 9-year period, man, I hardly ever dealt with haters, man. And anybody, if you're in my chat room and you've been following me since my Blog Talk Radio days, I want you to put BTR in the chat room. Put the letters BTR in the chat room. If you were familiar with me starting with my Blog Talk Radio days, put BTR. Okay, I see 7 the gentleman. Yeah, put the letters BTR. Man, in my 9 years at Blog Talk Radio, man, I think only maybe percentage-wise, maybe only 1 to 2% of the time that I deal with any like serious haters. Most of the people who listen to my show on Blog Talk Radio, they gave me nothing but love, kudos, and respect. And that's what I was used to, man. I'm used to, honestly, you can say I got spoiled, but I'm used to like no less than 95% of the people that follow me showing me nothing but love, kudos, and respect. I'm not used to all these like fucking haters and harsh critics that I've dealt with here on YouTube, man. I mean, this shit's ridiculous, man. I mean, just real talk. Like anytime I'm going on somebody else's live stream, at least 40 to 50% of the people in the chat room are people hating on me, criticizing me, insulting me, hating on me, saying Mo One ain't shit and all this, Alan Currie ain't shit and all this stuff. And I know when you do what I do, you got to have thick skin. I'm not naive about that. I'm not, I know anytime you're working in a capacity where you're pretty much a public figure, you have to develop thick skin. I remember Michael Jackson talked about that years ago. He said, in order to be a popular entertainer, you have to have the skin of a rhinoceros. That's what he said. He said, you have to have the skin of a rhinoceros because you're going to get hated on so much. But yeah, before coming to YouTube, man, I wasn't used to this type of haterade, man. So anyway, as that relates to live streaming, when I witnessed what I saw on other people's live streams, people just getting hated on all the time, I was like, man, fuck, I ain't doing no public live stream. I remember I made a decision back around spring, summer of 2017. I just basically said, I'm not doing any public live streams. I'm willing to make appearances on other people's live streams, particularly for like a one-on-one interview. But I said, as far as for me, I'm not doing any public. I don't want to deal with that shit, man. I don't want to deal with that shit. But what I probably didn't realize at the time, like you notice my live stream right now, along with the live stream on Tuesday. Everybody in my chat room is a subscriber. Everyone in my chat room is a subscriber. See, honestly, you gonna say I've been hiding under a rock or something. I never knew that was even an option. See, one of the reasons why I hesitated to do a live stream on YouTube as opposed to my Patreon exclusive live streams is because I thought it would be just open to the general public. Like anybody who has a YouTube account, YouTube username would be able to just come into my chat room and start shit and start criticizing me. And so I was like, man, I don't want to deal with that shit. I was like, I don't want to deal with that shit. Like I've had some people say, Alan, sometimes it sounds like you just want an echo chamber. You goddamn right I do. You damn right I do. I did a YouTube video, I think last year, either in 2019 at the latest last year, where I basically acknowledged that. I do. I'll openly admit it. I want to echo. For those of you in the chat room, most people know what that means. Basically, to have it, if you're running a live stream or just a YouTube channel, period, and you want an echo chamber, that means you pretty much only want people to comment on your videos that are in agreement with your assertions, your beliefs, your attitudes, your philosophies, your advice. You only really want people who agree with you. You don't really want anybody to present any disagreements to the things you're saying. That would represent that you want an echo chamber. For the most part, I do want an echo chamber. My basic attitude is this, man. Now, I'll say this, and I said this, I think, in the very last live stream. I don't mind if somebody presents me with some type of philosophical disagreement, as long as it's expressed in a manner that's intelligent, mature, and objective minded. Intelligent, mature, and objective minded. That's when I generally don't mind a few disagreements to things I say here and there. But that said, generally speaking, though, my attitude is if you're a guy who totally disagrees with my Mode 1 philosophy, you shouldn't be listening to me. You shouldn't be listening to me. For damn sure, yeah, you shouldn't be listening to me. Uh-oh, I'm missing did I miss it? I see another super chat. Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades says, ARC, you can even make it so that if people want to subscribe to your channel, they have to pay $5 a month, like Donovan Sharp. Oh, speaking of Donovan Sharp, man, my prayers to Donovan Sharp. I heard that Donovan Sharp was in critical condition due to the Delta variant coronavirus. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's still the case. Maybe he's improved in the last 24, 48, 72 hours. I'm not sure, but yeah, I heard Donovan was in bad shape because of the coronavirus. So Ace of Spades continues. He says, so basically, if they want to be rude, they have to pay. Yeah, I saw that. I know what you're talking about. Actually, YouTube in recent months, they developed what's known as a membership option. You know what? I'll tell you what that is. They're essentially trying to compete with Patreon. They will never openly say that, but that's what YouTube with that membership option, they got like different membership tiers. They want to take business away from Patreon. That's what YouTube is trying to do. But here's the difference. See, like with Patreon, when I get my monthly payment, royalty payment from Patreon, they only take out like about 2%, at most 3% of all the earnings I get. YouTube takes out somewhere between 15 to 30%. So as long as they're taking out that amount, they ain't gonna never. Sam C says, did you see Glendon Cameron? Glendon Cameron's up in here. Now, speaking of my Blog Talk Radio days, I've been familiar with Glendon Cameron since my Blog Talk Radio days. He used to listen to my, hey, there's Deanna Barnes. That's my homegirl, Currie, Indiana. I'm going to make her a moderator so she can get people out of here that hating on me. Seduce her. That's my dude, Gian. He interviewed me. Check his channel out called Seduce Her. I'll go ahead and I don't see Glendon though. Wait, where's Glendon? There's so many people, man, and my eyesight ain't the best. Well, anyway, I can't find it, but if he's in here, man, yeah, shout out and respect to Glendon, man. We've been, I've been familiar with Glendon, I want to say, since about as early as 2008 and at the latest around 2010. Because he used to listen to a lot of my episodes on Blog Talk Radio. But I'm missing his comment in here. Unless he's under another name. He might be under another name. Okay, Mel says Donovan is doing well now. He is improving. So okay, that's good to hear. But anyway, back to what I was saying is that, so my starting point was, I said, you might have noticed in my last live stream, okay, Sam's talking about a video Glendon did about 3 days ago about when it comes to R. Kelly and dealing with younger women. He gave you and Rom a shout out. Oh, okay. Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, there was a video he did about a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago, where Glendon gave me a shout out in the area. He was talking about BDSM. I think he said something to the fact that not that many men, and particularly black men, really know what they're doing when it comes to leading a BDSM lifestyle and incorporating elements of BDSM into their romantic relationships and their casual sexual relationships. He said one of the few guys who does I know who does is Alan Roger Currie, and I appreciated that because I've been involved in the BDSM lifestyle since I was in my probably early 20s. Here's the funny thing I tell people. I was basically doing BDSM before I even knew what BDSM officially was. And that's real talk. I was doing BDSM with women when I was in college. If nothing else, I would have a number of women refer to me as sir. If I didn't do nothing else, I always would have, like, I had a reunion with some of my fraternity brothers. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, if you didn't know that. Yo, noobs. And we had a reunion back in 2016, and some of my younger frat brothers, they used to call me AC. Instead of, just like people on YouTube call me ARC, I didn't really use my middle name much. So most of my frat brothers and other people on campus used to call me AC. And some of my young frat brothers was like, AC, man, you know what we remember about you from your college days? I said, what's that? They said, man, you had a lot of women calling you sir. Like, you'd be talking to a woman and they would be like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will do that, sir. And we used to be like, damn, man, what kind of influence does AC have over these women? But that was before I even knew I didn't learn what BDSM officially was until the movie 9.5 Weeks came out in 1987. And a lot of people were giving it movie reviews. Critics were giving movie reviews. And in their movie review, they were saying, this movie is probably going to make the BDSM lifestyle go mainstream. And I was like, what is BDSM? And I, looked it up because, you didn't have the internet in 1987. You didn't have Google. I just had to do my research and find out what it meant. I was like, oh, okay. So that's what I'm doing. BDSM. So yeah, I was doing BDSM before I actually knew what BDSM was. What's up, Simply Deep? Fasting is like, oh man. Hey, moderators, watch out for this guy. Fasting is life. I ain't telling you to get him out my chat room, but I want you to keep a keen eye on fasting is life. Because you know what fasting life keeps wanting me to do? He keeps wanting me to come home. You might be, some of y'all might say, what does that mean? Come home. Basically, it means when your hair begins to thin on top, like mine has over the years, particularly in the front half of the top of my hair is thinned out. So a lot of people, like, I give you an example. One time on NBA, if you're an NBA fan, if you ever watched the NBA on TNT, they was talking about LeBron James' receding hairline, and Charles Barkley was like, LeBron, come home. Come home. What that means is basically go ahead and just shave all your hair off and wear it bald. Just shave all your hair off. That's what's meant by come home, man. And I told Fast and Life, man, I'm gonna find out where he lives. I'm gonna just throw some Oreo cookies with hot fudge at his windows for teasing me about my hairline, man. That ain't right. You're supposed to respect your elders. You should be like, Fast and Life should be saying, ARC, man, it's nice that you still get like 15% of your hair on top of your head. It's nice that you still hanging in there, even though your hair is thinning out. We love that you just hanging in there. Test tube baby. That's what I'm gonna call him. He ain't just a test tube baby. Shout out to Robin Harris, the late great Robin Harris. Test tube baby. Anyway, I keep jumping all over the place. Yeah, so when I was doing my live stream on Tuesday, again at the very end, I actually got choked up because everything everybody said in the chat room was positive. It was positive. And honestly, here on YouTube, I'm not used to that. Now, again, when I was on Blog Talk Radio, I was used to getting nothing but love, kudos, and respect from people who listen to my episodes on Blog Talk Radio. Even like my page, that's one reason I like my Patreon exclusive live streams, because I get nothing but love, kudos, and respect from the guys when I do. But again, when I go on other people's channels and do live streams, man, I say on average, no less than 1/3 to 1/2 of the people in the chat room are usually hating on me. Oh, man, ARC, man, he ain't shit. Man, fuck him, man. ARC ain't nothing, man. His Mode 1 is trash. His Mode 1 is going to get you in Me Too trouble, man. I don't know why people listening. And he's like 95 years old. I don't know why people listen to ARC, man. He like in his 90s and stuff, man. I mean, you know, like he only pull women because he drive a Porsche, man. And he you know, because he's like a pretty boy and stuff, man. You know, he ain't nothing, man. Like I know just as much as he does. And I'm like only 19 years old, and I know just as much as Naima, that's another sweetheart. I love Naima. Naima's actually, she could actually run a moderator camp here on YouTube. And I'm not saying that totally jokingly. Naima is one of the best moderators in the YouTube circuit, particularly in the Black YouTube circuit. See, everybody who she moderates for loves her as a moderator. She's an exceptional moderator. Okay, now I see a couple people doing some stuff that I'm gonna have to disappoint you. Here's what some people in my live stream are going to dislike me, even if they're subscribers. As you see by the title of my live stream today is, how am I going to move forward with my YouTube live streams versus my Patreon exclusive live streams? How am I going to move forward with my YouTube live streams versus my Patreon exclusive live stream? And I can tell you right off the bat, one difference. I'd say probably 98, 99% of the time, when I do a YouTube live stream, I'm not going to be entertaining questions from the chat room, like advice-related questions. Now, if it's just general questions about, you know, me and my life, I might answer some of those. But as far as like specific advice-related questions, that is only going to happen in my Patreon exclusive live streams. So if you want me to answer questions, advice-oriented questions, you're going to have to become at minimum a $5 Patreon subscriber of mine and a maximum a $10 Patreon subscriber of mine. That's one thing I'm going to do different between YouTube live streams and Patreon. My YouTube live streams are going to be more similar to my pre-recorded uploaded videos, where it's basically just me talking, you guys listening, and occasionally I'm gonna have interaction with the chat room. But now I'm not gonna be doing advice questions here in the chat room. I mean, here in the chat room, here on YouTube. That's only for Patreon. Yeah, so I know that's going to be disappointing to some people, but yeah, I'm not going to be doing that here on YouTube. YouTube is just going to be when I want to just express some commentary about a particular subject, and I'm gonna get on live and talk about, like I did, you know, with that commentary from the guy blah blah blah, how I just spent the whole live stream just basically responding to a lot of that guy's commentary. And then I ended the live stream. I didn't take any questions from chat room. Yeah, I'm not going to be taking. That's only going to be limited to my Patreon exclusive live streams. Is taking questions, advice-oriented questions. The only question I might answer is stuff to do with, you know, general stuff like, hey, Alan, like, what did you like about being a student at Indiana University, and what did you like about living in Los Angeles, or something like that. Something to do with just my general life events. Excuse me for a second. And since I told you briefly what I won't be doing, I'm going to tell you a few things that you won't see on Alan Roger Currie's live stream compared to some other people on YouTube in general, and I say more specifically in what's known as the black side of YouTube. The black side of YouTube. I will not be bringing up a bunch of people on my live stream to like chop it up about stuff. That ain't gonna happen. I know that's gonna disappoint some people. Because a lot of people do live streams, they use either Zoom or StreamYard, and they allow people to come up on their what's known as their live stream panel. Like if you're familiar with a young black male YouTube content creator by the name Bernard Riley, I mentioned him in my live stream on Tuesday. Bernard Riley does that. Most of his live streams, he has usually at minimum one guest that he'll interview. And then after he's finished interviewing that guest, he'll allow people from the chat room to come up on his panel. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it, for better or for worse. I'm not doing that. Because I know what it usually digresses into, devolves into. I don't want all that bickering, arguing on my live stream. I don't want that shit, man. I can't stand that shit. Real talk, man. I'm just gonna be blunt about it, man. I can't stand when both black men and black women. I don't want to limit it to them because I've seen it happen from time to time on non-black people's channels too. So it ain't just the black YouTube content creators, but that's who I'm most familiar with. But man, I don't like all that, one content creator arguing in a heated manner with another black YouTube content creator, and the whole live stream just ends up being people just arguing and personally insulting each other. Man, I am not. That's one reason why I haven't done live streams to this point, because I've never wanted to have that type of shit. I don't want none of that shit on my channel. I tell you that right now, point blank. I don't want none of that stuff on my channel. I don't want none of that stuff on my channel. I don't want nobody coming in my chat room talking about, hey, Alan, man, can I come up and give you my 5 reasons why I think indirect verbal game is better than Mode 1? No, that ain't going to never happen. I'm telling you right now, that's never, ever, 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 ever going to happen on my channel. That's never going to happen on my channel. Nope, will not happen. If you ain't totally sold on my Mode 1 philosophy, my attitude is basically, why are you even here listening to me? Honestly, why are you even here listening to me? So yeah, that's so I already covered 2 things that I'm not going to do in my YouTube live streams. In my YouTube live stream, I'm not going to take advice-oriented questions from the chat room. That's going to be limited to my Patreon exclusive live streams. I will answer again some what I call general questions just about me as a person, Alan Roger Currie. But yeah, my live streams are going to be closer to my pre-recorded uploaded videos where I just, again, talk about a particular subject for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hour, a little over an hour, and then I'm going to end it. I'm not going to be doing any type of group panels via StreamYard or Zoom. I'm not going to be doing any of that. What What else am I not under the category of stuff I'm not? What's up, D-Mac the trucker? I see you in my chat room. What's happening? Yeah, I'm not gonna be doing that. What else I'm not gonna be doing? Talking about celebrities, unless it's really relevant to Mo One. I know a lot of people. That's the thing now. People basically gossiping about the personal lives of certain entertainment industry celebrities and professional athletes. See, what most people don't realize, man, and I said this recently on somebody's live stream, a lot of the celebrities that people talk about on YouTube, I know a lot of these celebrities. See, I used to work in the entertainment industry, man. I know a lot of these people personally. If I don't know them personally, I have at least one mutual friend who knows them personally. I know someone who knows them personally. Like, I give you an example. Like Will Smith, man. I've talked to Will Smith before. I used to work on his show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I know his first wife. Me and his first wife used to be Facebook friends. We used to talk through Facebook all the time. I know people who know a lot of celebrities that other YouTube content creators be gossiping about, man. So you ain't gonna never hear me like gossiping about nobody personal celebrities, because a lot of these people, particularly a lot of the black entertainment industry celebrities, I either know them or I'm close to someone who knows them. I either know them myself or I'm close to someone who knows them. So yeah, man, wait, what did Fasting Life? What did he do? Wait, uh-oh. I see drama happening already. What happened? What is Armando Vidal? I don't know what that means. What is that? Is that something insulting? What does that mean? What is Armando? Who is that? Who is? No one. I don't know who Armando Vidal is. Oh, I see what. There's somebody in my chat room talking about, I have all your books. Can a brother get a homie discount? I see what's going on. In other words, somebody, people trolling. People trolling. Especially this Armando guy. He's trolling. Yeah, well, that's why I got moderators, man. I mean, I say this to my moderators, man. If it's something that seems kind of trivial and lighthearted, I'll instruct you to let it go. But if someone is like really, causing a stink in my chat room by either trolling or throwing an insult my way, then no, that's when I would say, yeah, get them out of here. Get them out of here, because I don't need any of that. Again, that's one of the reasons why I didn't yeah, what's up, Dada Saints? Yeah, but I was saying that. Oh, I was saying that's the third thing on my list of things you're not going to see on my YouTube live streams is me talking about entertainment industry celebrities, man, and more specifically gossiping about their personal life, unless it relates to something specifically to do with Mo One, my Mo One philosophy. Then I don't mind talking about stuff to do with celebrities. But like I said, man, I know a lot of those celebrities that people be talking about, man. So, they're human beings just like anybody else. Like I mentioned in Tuesday's live stream, there's a lot of celebrities, actually, male celebrities, who own one or more of my books. I dropped about 2 or 3 names on Tuesday. I could drop more. But yeah, there's quite a few entertainment industry celebrity males who own one or more. At minimum, they own Mo One. Some of them own Mo One and Usaid again. Yeah. Yeah, if I was to go down my list, I could probably name at minimum about 30 to 40 male celebrities who own one or more of my books. Mac Life said, is there a difference between macking and pimping? Is there a difference between macking and pimping? Some people would say yes to that question. Other people would say no. Some people would say yes. Other people would say no. Here's what I would say is, from my experience, the difference between macking and pimping. Macking is more in line with being a player. Macking is more in line with being a player. Whereas pimping is more in line with being a protector of a roster of hoes. In other words, when you're a pimp, that means not only do you have a number of women that you could have sex with, but those women that you have the opportunity to have sex with, they actually go as far as to finance your lifestyle by fucking other men. That's basically pimping in a nutshell. It's like if I had 10, let's say I started off, I had 10 fuck buddies. Okay? I had 10 fuck buddies. And I was unemployed, and I didn't have a car, and I didn't hardly have any clothes. And instead of just continuing to fuck these 10 fuck buddies, I told these 10 fuck buddies, I said, hey, I want y'all to go out and fuck other dudes who have a hard time getting pussy. Have them pay you, I don't know, $200 a pop. And I want you to use no less than 3/4 of the money you earn from fucking these other guys to pay my rent, to buy me a car, pay my car note, buy me some clothes, and just generally finance my lifestyle. That would be me being a pimp. Whereas a player, or what's sometimes referred to also as a Mac, is when you just got a roster of different fuck buddies. You got a roster of different fuck buddies. Yeah. So that's macking. Macking is just a variation of being a player. Again, whereas pimping, pimping is when the women you fuck are literally taking care of your lifestyle. It's almost like you having a combination of multiple fuck buddies, and each of those fuck buddies are basically almost willing to act as a sugar mama for you. Like I told you in my last live stream, I've had in my lifetime, I've had at least 2, technically 3, but I'll go with 2. I've had at least 2, minimum 2 sugar mamas in my life. Mainly when I was living in Los Angeles, I had 2 sugar mamas. When you have one sugar mama and she's taking care of a lot of your living expenses, that's what's known as a kept man. That means you would be called a kept man. A kept man is to a sugar mama what a female sugar baby is to a male sugar daddy. It's the male equivalent of being a sugar baby. Is a kept man. I've been a kept man at least twice. Both times when I lived in LA. Yeah, I had women that was paying my rent, paying at least half, if not all of my car note, buying me clothes, paying a lot of my utility bills, all that shit. Yeah. Now, okay, I see a super chat coming in. I think one of the mods was confused with our inside joke, ARC. It's okay. They'll get used Yeah, I don't mind to come home. Fasting is life is known for that in respect to me. So I don't mind him doing that. The whole come home ARC. He's been doing that for probably like 2 years now. Come home. Yeah, he teased me about my thinning hair on the top of my head. It's funny. I hate to say this. I don't know, maybe it's the timing of the day. But if you remember on Tuesday's live stream, I thought I was going to have less people watching. I had more people watching than I thought I would. I thought I was going to have somewhere between 25 to 50 people watching. My highest on Tuesday was 233. I had as many as 233 people watching me. Probably because they were shocked that I was doing a live stream. So on Tuesday, I had low expectations, but those expectations were exceeded. Whereas today, it's just the opposite. I thought I was going to have at least 200 people watching my channel. But I'm so far, the most I've had today is 125. I think 130. 130. So I've had about 70 less than what I thought I was going to have. Thank you for that super chat, Aid in Motion. But yeah, speaking of macking and pimping and those other terms. Now, a lot of people, if there's one thing over the years I've got into some heated disagreements with, is about the definition of a player. Excuse me, the definition of a player. Some people think any guy who has multiple sex partners is a player. There's some guys and even some women who think any guy who has multiple sex partners is a player. I vehemently disagree with that. I don't just disagree with that. I vehemently disagree with that. I vehemently disagree with that. Because to me, and y'all know what my Mo One philosophy is about. Here's how I put it in real simple terms. If you're a man and you got 4 different sex partners, but each of those 4 sex partners believe or assume that they are your only sex partner, then in my book, you're not a player or a Mac. You're not a player. I don't call any guy a player if he's lying to women. If a guy is lying to women and toying with women's emotions in order to have multiple sex partners, I don't respect him as a player. He ain't a player in my mind. That is not a player, man. I remember, for example, I told this story a couple times before. Guy I used to work with. One time we was on our way back from a conference, and he pulled out like 3 different cell phones, man. I've known a few people who had 2 cell phones, one for business, one for personal. He had 3 different cell phones. And I said, yo, man, why you got 3 different cell phones? And he said, oh, Alan, a player like you should be able to relate. Man, I can't have all my women would have the same number. He said, because he was actually married. No, I think at that time he was engaged to be married. He wasn't married yet. He was engaged to be married. And he said, I got 1 phone for my fiance. That's my main cell phone. And then I got 2 cell phones for my side bitches, for my on the side bitches. And he made the comment to me. He said, I'm sure you're able to relate to that. Man, y'all know how I am with my looks, man. I gave him a look like, I just looked at him for a few seconds, man. And he was like, what's up, Alan? I said, man, nigga, I don't roll like that. I said, I don't roll like that. He said he acted like he was genuinely surprised. And he kind of sort of knew about my Mo. He didn't know all the details of my Mo One philosophy, but he knew some things about Mo One. So I was surprised that he was surprised. But yeah, he was like, oh, you know what? I said, dude, anytime I've had 2 or more fuck buddies, my fuck buddies knew that I had other women I was fucking. Every single time. There's never been a time when I've had multiple sex partners and my sex partners did not know that I was fucking other women. They might have not known the names of the other women I was fucking or the faces of the other women I was fucking. But anytime I've had 2 or more sex partners at the same time, my fuck buddies knew I was fucking other women. That's what a true player is. That's what a true player is, man. Anything else is a sorry ass motherfucker to me. I tell you that straight up. Not anything else is a sorry ass a lying ass motherfucker, man. I don't have no respect for dudes who score pussy by lying to bitches. I don't have no respect for them dudes, man. And that includes a lot of my close friends and fraternity brothers. I've told them to their face. I don't respect dudes, man, that score a bunch of pussy, man, by lying to women. Again, if a guy got 5 different sex partners, say at one time, but each of the 5 sex partners believe they're that guy's only sex partner, man, I don't have no respect for a dude like that, man. None. Zero. Zilch. I have no respect for a dude like that. He's a coward, man. He's a verbal coward, man. That's a verbal coward, man. In my book, that's a verbal coward, man. I don't have no respect for verbal cowards, man. I don't have no respect for them. Those type of dudes, to me, never, ever, ever deserve the title of player. I will never call a guy in that category a player, ever. I will never call a guy in that category a player. If nothing else, that guy is just simply what's known as a lying womanizer. A lying womanizer. What most women call either a dog or a pig. That's what most women call guys in that category, a dog or a pig. A lying womanizer. I don't respect lying womanizers, man. I don't respect that, man. Because it don't take no game to do that shit, man. It just takes the ability to lie. It don't take no game to lie to 5 women that they're the only ones you fucking. That don't take no game. That just takes the ability to lie. See, when I was growing up, and I know I'm older than a lot of guys in my chat room, but see, when I was growing up, that was part of what it meant to have game. That was part of what it meant to have game. When I was growing up, which was in the 70s and 80s, here was the main 2 definitions. You hear this word thrown around a lot: game, game. This guy get game. This guy get game. When I was growing up, I grew up in Gary, Indiana. Here was the main 2 definitions of game. And I would say technically 3. Technically, there was 3 definitions. One of the 3 is related to what I described as a pimp. Here would be the 3 general definitions of game when I was growing up. Number 1, if you were an average or less than average looking guy, but you had a girlfriend that was much more attractive than you. Like, using a scale of 1 to 10, let's say you was a 4 on most people's man scale from 1 to 10. You was a 4, but your girlfriend was an 8. That was the number 1 definition. Again, if guys saw you as a 4 and you had a woman on your shoulder as your girlfriend that was like a 7, an 8, or a 9, guys would be like, oh shit, man, that dude got game. He must have some strong game, man. He must have strong game. Yeah, anytime, so when it came to like being in a relationship, anytime you were low, again, I would say on a man's 1 to 10 scale, if most people considered you like a 4 or a 5 on a 1 to 10 scale for men, and your girlfriend on a woman's 1 to 10 scale was considered like a 7, 8, 9, 10, that's when guys would say, oh man, that dude got strong. Particularly if he didn't spend no money on that woman. Particularly if he wasn't wealthy, he wasn't spending, like, he wasn't no like sugar daddy type. He just was making like an average amount of money, but yet he had a woman that was basically out of his league. That's the first definition that would make guys, when I was growing up, say, oh man, that dude got a lot of game. He must have strong game. Second general definition of having game is related to what I was talking about the definition of a player. anytime you were a guy that everybody knew you were fucking, like, say, 4 women at the same time, and all 4 women you were fucking knew, it was obvious that they knew you were fucking other women, and they accepted that. Guys, that would make guys quickly say, oh man, that dude get game. That dude get game. Like, I remember one time, I'll use myself one time. I remember when I was younger one time, I was at a party with 3 women that I was fucking. 3 of my fuck buddies was at a party with me. And this woman called herself trying to call me out. Let's say I was with Linda, Michelle, and Tanya, which some of my followers say are my 3 most common names I use. Linda, Michelle. Let's say I was at a party with Linda, Michelle, and Tanya. And somebody went up to Linda and said, hey, Linda, I don't know if you know this, but Alan's fucking Tanya and Michelle. Thinking Linda was going to be like, really? What? Are you serious? Are you serious? You mean he's fucking those other 2 women here in addition to me? That's the woman who was calling herself ratting on me thought Linda was going to have that reaction. And Linda just simply said, I know. Fucked her up. She said, I know. And the woman who was, calling herself gossiping was like, really? You know Alan's fucking Tanya Michelle and you still fucking them too? She was like, I sure am. And she was just like, wow, excuse me. See, that's player shit, man. That's player shit when you can be at a party with 3 women you fucking, and other people realize you're at a party with 3 women you fucking, and that they know you fucking all of them, and they don't. That's a true player, man. Because see, I've seen guys in the opposite situation where, like, I've seen guys be in a situation where they have one fuck buddy at a party, and then a second fuck buddy shows up, and they'll be like, oh shit. And you be like, what's wrong? Man, my other fuck buddy just came in this party, man. But I already got one here, man. Damn, there's some drama that's gonna go down now. See, I ain't never wanted to be in that type of situation. I ain't never wanted to be in that type of situation. That's some weak shit to me, man. Honestly, that's some weak shit to me. But anyway, I was going back to how I grew up knowing what game meant. To recap, first was if you were an average or less than average looking guy, but you were able to pull a girlfriend that was really, really fine. Like what most people would call out of your league. That's the number one time people would say, oh, that guy got strong game. Second time guys would say you got a strong game is if you had 2 or more casual sex lovers, otherwise known as fuck buddies, and both men who knew you and women who knew you could tell that your fuck buddies knew about your other fuck buddies. And even more so if they knew them by name and face. The third time people say you had game would be related to pimping. Is if you were a guy who always had like new clothes, a new watch, even something as expensive as a new car, and people like, damn, man, you got a new car? And you'd be like, yeah, man, one of my bitches bought this for me, man. I didn't pay for this car myself, man. This chick, man, she bought this for me. And guys would be like, damn, man, your game must be strong, bro. Your game must be strong. Those are 3 general times when I was growing up in Gary, Indiana, and in the Chicago area when people said you would acknowledge that you had game. Anything else, man, wasn't really game to us. Like a lot of stuff that guys nowadays call game. Like, again, the biggest thing that some guys call game that I don't call game is scoring pussy from women by lying to them, misleading them, or emotionally manipulating them. I don't consider that game. Some guys do. Particularly a lot of younger guys. They consider that game, man. I don't consider that game, man. I don't consider that game at all. That's not game. Or if it is game, it's weak game. Number one, I would say it's not game. And if people want to insist on calling it game, I would say that's weak game. Yeah, man, to me, man, if you got a lot of women to get them in bed, man, your game is weak, man. Your game is weak. If the only way you can get women to have casual sex with you is by lying to a woman and basically giving her the misleading impression that you want to be her next long-term boyfriend or her future husband, man, that's weak, man. That's weak. I don't have no respect for that, man. I don't have no respect for that. See over the technician. Thank you for the super chat. He says, what are your thoughts on Glenn Campbell? Who's Glenn Campbell? Oh, you mean Glenn and Cameron claiming to have sex with minors? Oh, somebody gonna have to verify that for me. That's a slanderous comment if that's not true. Now, if that's not true, what you're saying, Theo, I hope for your sake, you're telling the truth. And if you're telling the truth, that would be very disappointing to me. But if you're telling the truth, I mean, if you're not telling the truth, that's what you're doing right now is considered slander. That's considered slander, man. Can anybody else verify what Seova said in his super chat? That Glendon Cameron said that he has had sex with women that were underage, which would mean he committed statutory rape. Okay, one other person did confirm it. God Affected, my chat room, said he said it himself. So you're telling me that Glendon Cameron admitted publicly that he is indulged in statutory rape? That's what you're telling me. I'm gonna leave that alone for now, man. That disturbs my spirit, honestly. And I got a lot of love for respect for Glendon Cameron, man. But if in the event that that's true, I don't know if it is. I hope it's not. In the event that that's true, that's disturbing to my spirit, man. No. I don't want to talk about nothing to do with statutory rape, man. I don't want to talk about nothing to do with statutory rape. That's disturbing to my spirit, man. I'm not about anything, man, that's illegal or unethical when it comes to having sex with women. I think most people should know that about me. I'm not in favor of anything that could be legitimately categorized in one of these two categories. Illegal, definitely. Illegal, with, for example, like rape or date rape. I'm not in favor of any sex that's related to that goes against the law. And right behind that, I'm not in favor of any sex that's just profoundly unethical. Like, for example, what I was just talking about men lying to women. Now, men lying to women, that's not, well, let me slow down. I was going to say that's not illegal. In some places it is. I think y'all heard me say that on a video. Do you know nowadays, there's, I want to say at least 2 countries where that's now illegal. That's now illegal. Yeah, that's now illegal. Thank you, Jay Shine Randoms. If you catch me lying to a woman, she must have my daughter hostage. That's a good one. That's a good one, Jay Shine. That's actually pretty good, man. That's actually pretty good. Somebody asked in the chat room, and I see their comment got deleted, but actually it was a halfway legitimate question. Said, is 13 considered underage? In most cities and countries, yes, but there are exceptions. me and my wife were just talking about this. I actually happened to look about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was looking here in the United States, what's the the age of consent. I used to think that universally the age of consent was 18. Because see, when I was younger, that was the age of consent in just about every state was 18. Actually, that's not true anymore. And here in the United States, I can't speak for other countries. I just look at a list for the United States. The youngest I saw was actually 14. Do you know in some states in the United States, a woman can have sex with a guy that's not more than 10 years older than her if she's as young as 14? Yeah, and there's a few states where a woman can give consent to have sex with an older guy, but the catch is the guy cannot be more than 10 years older than her. So in other words, if she's 14, she could have sex with a guy that's 24 years of age or younger in some states. California is definitely 18. I remember reading that. California, the age of consent is 18. In Indiana, which is where I grew up in, I thought it was 18, but it actually says 16. Yeah, 16 is the age of consent in Indiana. Yeah, it ranged from state to state. The youngest age of consent I saw was 14, but most of the states where it was as young as 14, the guy couldn't be more than 10 years older than the woman. Some states it was 15, some states it was 16, some states it was 17, and then other states it was 18. But when I was young, it was kind of universal that a woman had to be 18 years old before she could have sex with a guy that was older than her. I see Fast and Light said Texas is 17 with parental consent. Oh, I'll tell you something I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about this, and I'm looking at my clock. After I talk about this, I'm probably going to wrap up. 90% chance I'm going to wrap up. Because that's another thing on my list of things I don't want to do is have super long live streams. Some guys on YouTube, man, be having live streams that last as long as like 10, 11. I was watching this guy who I watch every now and then. His name is Amazing Lucas. Put a number 9 in the chat room if you're familiar with I don't think he's black. I think he's Puerto Rican. He's either black or he's Puerto Rican, which is technically the same thing. Put a 9 in the chat room if you're familiar with this either black/Puerto Rican male YouTuber by the name of Amazing Lucas. I woke up in the morning and I was doing different stuff sometimes I multitask. I'm doing a bunch of stuff on my computer and on the internet. And I happened to see his live stream came up on my homepage because I think I am subscribed to his. I'm either subscribed to him or I've watched enough of his videos that it now shows up on my home screen. And I decided he has this thing he does at least once a week, if not more, called Disagreement Day, where basically he allows people to come up on his live stream panel and disagree with the opinions that he expressed earlier in the week. He'll allow people to come up and disagree. Yeah, old school Tony Carter said DJ Cuda be having those. Yep, I've seen DJ Cuda do it like 8. I remember one matter of fact, speaking of DJ Cuda, one time I jumped up on his live stream and he said, Alan, man, I was just talking about you a couple days ago. I said, oh, really? He said, yeah, man, check out the live stream. I was mentioning your name. I was defending your Mode 1 philosophy. I was like, okay, I'll check it out. So then after I got off his live stream, I went into his archives to look for the live stream he was talking about. And turns out the live stream where he said he mentioned my name and was defending my Mo 1 approach, it was like 11 hours long, man. It was like 11 hours long. I was like, I had to tell Kuda, I said, man, I'm not looking through 11 hours worth of shit. Who the fuck, who got that much free time in a day? Not only to listen to an 11-hour live stream, but to host one, conduct one. Man, yeah, you ain't gonna never, ever, ever see me doing no 11-hour live stream unless somebody's paying me like 5 figures for that shit. Now, if somebody said, hey, Alan, we'll pay you $15,000 if you conduct an 11-hour live stream, yeah, I would consider it. I would consider it. Yeah, if you was gonna pay me like 5 figures, minimum of like $10,000, I'd do it. That's the one situation where I can say I'd do it. Other than that, man, I'm not trying to disparage any necessarily people who do. If that's their choice, that's their choice. But man, I don't have the verbal stamina to be hosting no 11, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-hour live stream. The longest live stream I've ever done audio, when I was on Blog Talk Radio, I did a handful of live streams that lasted 4 hours. That's roughly my average. And on YouTube, the longest live stream I participated in was on two people's channels. On Bernard Riley's channel one time and O'Shea Duke Jackson's back in 2017. They would be a tie for the longest somebody else's live stream I was on. Yeah, I once stayed on one of Bernard's live stream for like, I want to say somewhere between 3 to 3.5 hours. And same with O'Shea would take the top. I stayed on one of O'Shea's live streams in 2017 for about 4.5 to 5 hours. About 4.5 to 5 hours. That's the longest I've ever participated on somebody's live stream. It was O'Shea Duke Jackson back in like fall of 2017. Yeah, he once had a live, I forget what the subject was. But yeah, I was on his live stream for about 4.5 to 5 hours. That's the longest I've ever done. But on my channel, I would never host anything that long. I would never, ever, ever host anything that long. So that's another list of my things I won't be doing on my live stream. And I've already listed a few. What was I going to say? Oh, here's one thing I want to talk about. It's similar to me having a difference of opinion on what's a player and what's not a player, and what's game and what's not a game. Q4 asked me, Mr. ARC, now that you have the new son, my son Caden, who's about to be 13 months old, will you switch to a 4-door Porsche? That's actually I don't know specifically a 4-door Porsche, but I'm definitely, as we speak, in the market for either an SUV or a minivan. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be upgrading one of the cars I have to a SUV or a minivan. Because right now I don't have an SUV or a minivan. And yeah, right now I have 3 cars. Well, actually, I have 2 cars. My wife has a car. I have a Porsche Boxster and a Pontiac Vibe. And my wife owns a Volkswagen Jetta sedan. But yeah, I'm looking. I want to trade in my wife's Jetta for either a SUV or a minivan. Yeah, because the thing about it with my Porsche, man, I can't even have my whole family in a Porsche because, as you know, that's a 2-seat convertible. So I can't have my wife and son in my Porsche like I did when I was a bachelor. Anyway, here's what I want to talk about. far as one of my nicknames, I got a number of nicknames. One of my nicknames is Mr. Pedantic. Mr. Pedantic. And most people know what that means, but for those small percentage of people in my chat room who may not know what it means to be pedantic, when you're pedantic, that means you're very, like, extremely meticulous on how things are described and defined, how terms, different terminology is described and defined. That means you're pedantic. Like, I give you one example would be player. I'm really pedantic about how people use the term player. Again, some guys, they call any guy who just has 2 or more sex partners at any given moment in time, they'll call that guy a player. But I don't. Again, if you have 3 fuck buddies, casual sex lovers, aka fuck buddies, but each of your fuck buddies believe or assume that they're your only lover, then you're not a player in my book. You're not a player in my book. That's not a player. Nope. A player is when you got 3 casual sex lovers, aka fuck buddies, and each of your fuck buddies know that you're fucking at least one other woman. All of your fuck buddies know you're fucking at least one other woman. That's a player. And here's another term. I was listening to a young brother a few days ago, and he actually brought up my name. He brought up my name. And I'm going to be paraphrasing some of his words, if not a lot of his words, but it's going to have the same effect of what he said. So these weren't his exact words verbatim, but essentially this is what he said. He was doing a live stream. I'm not going to say his name for now. He was doing a live stream, and he said, I was watching a video by dating coach Alan Roger Currie, and he mentioned that a lot of younger brothers, talking about young black men, a lot of younger brothers tend to criticize him and say that a lot of his advice, his dating advice, is outdated. Outdated, which I have. I've had quite a few guys, not so much recently, but definitely in 2018 and 2019, maybe a little bit of 2020. The main times I got that criticism in 2018, 2019. A lot of younger guys, including a lot of younger dating coaches, would say, oh man, I'll give you one. I'll tell you one by name. Alpha Male Strategies. When he first came on the scene, he used to say that. I'll never forget when he did one video on one live stream where he said some of ARC's advice I agree with. So he did give me a semi-compliment. He said some of ARC's advice I agree with. Like he said, his book, The Beta Male Revolution, he said, I love that book. He said, I love his book, The Beta Male Revolution. He said, that's a rock solid book. So he gave me an endorsement. He actually once, to his credit, he did a whole video or live stream one time in 2018 singing the praises of my book, The Beta Male Revolution. He said, I love his book, The Beta Male Revolution, and he loves The Possibility of Sex because he copied the shit out of that book. I mentioned that on the very last live stream. He's copied the shit out of my book, The Possibility of Sex. But, I don't want to get into that again. But then he went on to say, he said, but some of the other advice I hear that comes out of ARC's mouth, man, I just ain't feeling it, man. He said, man, a lot of advice that ARC gives is stuff that was only relevant and applicable in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But he said in the 21st century, a lot of his advice, particularly a lot of his Mode 1 advice, just doesn't cut it anymore. It's outdated. It's outdated. And, he wasn't the only one. There's a few guys. Again, there's quite a few guys who came at me with Alan Roger Currie's advice is outdated. And so in a video I did, like within the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, I said, anytime I've been on a live stream with somebody and they say Alan Roger Currie's advice is outdated, I'll specifically ask them, what aspect of my advice is outdated? What advice can you point to that's outdated? And 95% of the time, they don't have a response. They just shut up, which lets me know they don't really have nothing to point out. And the 5% of guys who have tried to point out something, they'll usually say, well, Alan, man, we living in the Me Too movement era. And in the Me Too movement era, you just can't walk up to women, man, and just tell them, man, I want to put my dick in your mouth, man. You can't do that. Like with the Me Too movement era, you can't do that. Now, you know what I want to do right now. And this was the reason I was trying to use Streamlabs OBS. I got to figure that out. Because I was trying to find a way to insert a doll face. But see, I'm just going straight live through YouTube. If you're a content creator, you know what that means. I can't bring up other stuff like a dog face. But here's what I'll say in response to that goofy ass comment. It ain't, number one, it ain't illegal to let a woman know you want to have casual sex with her. That is not illegal, at least not in the United States. It is not illegal. I don't care what anybody tries to tell you, they're lying. It is not illegal to let a woman know that you want to have casual sex with her, even if you happen to use R-rated, X-rated, or triple X-rated language. That is not illegal. You cannot go to jail for letting a woman know you want to have casual sex. Now, if you're doing it with a coworker, you could potentially be fired from your job for letting a woman know in real straightforwardly honest terms that you want to have casual sex with her. So for people who say you might lose your job being Mo 1, and more particularly Mo 1 hardcore, that's a valid criticism in the Me Too movement era. But as far as something legal like going to prison or going to jail, that is straight bullshit. That's straight bullshit. And if you want to disagree with me, prove it. Prove it. If you think you got a legitimate disagreement with me, give me some documented proof that letting a woman know you want to have casual sex with her is illegal. Man, I done said some of the most triple X-rated shit to women that any man who's ever walked this earth has ever said to a woman, and I ain't never gotten arrested for it. And speaking of that example, when I was young, I haven't done it so much in my older years, but when I was in my 20s and 30s, a lot of times my opening comment to women was, I can't wait. I would compliment a woman. I said, oh, you got some nice dick sucking lips. And they would be like, oh my God, hopefully you said that. And I would be like, I can't wait to slide my hard dick in your dick sucking lips. I actually scored quite a bit of pussy using that opening line. That was literally my opener. I was my opener. Back in I would say back in the mid to late 80s and pretty much the entire 90s and even the early 2000s with a lot of women, that was my opener, man. That was my Mo 1 hardcore opener. But anyway, going back to guys saying, I always challenge guys, name an entertainment celebrity, professional athlete, politician, or prominent businessman that got targeted by the Me Too movement just for letting a woman know he wanted to have casual sex with her. That's the only thing he did. That's the only thing he did. Not including co-workers and business colleagues. Not including co-workers and business colleagues. I'm talking about a man, that would be my exception. Not including co-workers and business colleagues. Because again, if you do that, if you're Mo 1 with a woman, or more specifically Mo 1 hardcore with a woman that's a co-worker, a supervisor, subordinate, and just general business colleague, in worst case scenario, you could lose your job. So I've never argued that. But as far as some guys will try to get the impression that if you're Mo 1 hardcore with a woman, like say at a nightclub, you could be thrown in prison. That's some bullshit, man. That's straight bullshit. That's straight bullshit. So anyway, this guy, this young brother who was doing this live stream, he said, Roger Currie has been accused of offering advice that's outdated. And he said, for the most part, he said, I disagree with that. He said, I think Allen gives a lot of rock solid advice to men of all ages. And I particularly love his books, The Possibility of Sex and The Beta Male Revolution. He said, I really love those two books more than his other books. But then he said, here's the one thing, though, that I do have to say is a bit outdated. He said, here's one thing that ARC does say that I think is a bit outdated. And he said, okay, all right, I see I'm starting to get some trolls in here. See, this is what I don't like. I don't like trolls, man. Okay, this dude got to go. Lorenzo Davis, he got to go. So moderators, if you see people make comments like that, man, I'm tired of it. See that I started this live stream saying one of the reasons I was reluctant to do live streams here on YouTube is people coming in hating on me, or just, if not flat out hating, making stupid comments. And this dude Lorenzo Davis talking about ARC, you could get away with Mo One because you got that pretty boy privilege, man. I don't want to hear that shit, man. That goofy ass shit. Get out of here with that goofy ass shit. You want to say that in somebody else's channel, in their live stream, in their chat room? Hey, go for it. But I ain't gonna tolerate that type of shit, man, in my chat room, my live stream, man. That goofy ass. I'm tired of that. I mean, if you listen to my very last live stream, that was one of the comments from that guy, blah blah blah. He said, basically, in so many words, he said, Allen, the reason why you don't criticize these women in a real harsh way is because you're a tall, light-skinned, pretty boy, man. I don't want to hear that shit, man. I don't want to hear that shit. Real talk. I don't want to hear that shit. So from this point forward, man, anybody bring up me being light-skinned and or me being a handsome, pretty boy or something to that effect, they're going to be booted out my chat room, man. I ain't got time for that silly, goofy shit, man. That's one of the reasons why I'm tired of going on other people's live streams, because they bring up that stupid shit, man. Shit irritates the fuck out of me, man. That's a YouTube thing, man. That's something I will say, man. There's a few things that I think I have experienced before I came to YouTube. But if I had to pick on something that has only really happened on YouTube, is those type of comments. Man, when I was on Blog Talk Radio, nobody used to say that shit, man. I never had anybody come in my Blog Talk Radio chat room and say, oh, Allen, man, the only reason you're successful with Mo One because you're a light-skinned pretty boy. Never, ever. I never had nobody say it. I was on Blog Talk Radio for 9 years. Never had, I can't think of one person who ever came into the chat room of one of my audio live streams and said some stupid shit like that. But, man, since I've been on YouTube, man, I can't tell you how many niggas have said that shit. I hate to use the N-word. I'm going to try to minimize that on my YouTube live stream. But, man, I can't tell you how many people have said that, man, here, black men. I haven't had too many non-black men say that. Well, this guy actually, when I was talking about on Tuesday, I think he wasn't a black guy. I think he was a Filipino guy, Asian guy. But, yeah, man, I'm tired of that shit, man. Tired of that shit. Why? Some people might say, well, Allen, isn't that a fair evaluation, man, when you say, the fact that you got pretty boy looks? No. No, it don't have nothing to do with Mo One. I'll give you the simplest example to do with my looks. It doesn't relate. If you own my book, put a number 4 in the chat room. A number 4 in the chat room if you own my book. Ooh, say it again. If you own either the ebook, paperback, or audiobook version of Ooh, say it again, put a number 4 in the chat room. Okay, I'm seeing quite a few for it. Okay, if you own that book, you'll know in part 2, it's divided in 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. In part 2 of Who Said Again, I give detailed descriptions of 6 verbal seduction stories. 6 verbal seduction stories, okay? The most, probably, arguably the most prominent verbal seduction story I have is verbal seduction story number 1, because that represents actually the first time I was ever really mole one with a woman. Is verbal seduction story number 1. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details of that verbal seduction story. You need to buy the book if you don't have it. But I'll say this: for all those who say, "Oh, Alan's only been successful with his mole one philosophy because he's a light-skinned pretty boy." When I was on that triple date, I was on the basis of it. I was on a triple date with 2 close friends of mine. With 2 close friends of mine that I grew up with. We were on, it was a triple date. And out of the 3 of us, the night started out with me being the least one expected to get laid. Well, see, now I got to give a few details of the story. Here's how it happened. It was initially supposed to be a double date among my 2 of my close friends. It's 2 friends of mine, and they had 2 women lined up to do a double date. And then what happened, about 2 or 3 days, the double date was scheduled for, like, say, Saturday, on a Saturday night. Then what happened, on a Thursday night, one of the guys, the woman he was going to hook up with, her younger cousin came in town unexpectedly. The woman who was going to hook up with my friend at the time, she was about, I think, 22 or 23, and she had a cousin that was 19. She had a younger cousin that was 19. And so my buddy called me. He said, "Hey, man, Alan, can you play the role of wingman?" And most of y'all should know what a wingman is. There's different definitions, but one definition of a wingman is a guy who kind of takes one for the team. Like, say you get ready to do a double date with a real attractive woman, and she got a unattractive, overweight friend that wants to come along, and you call one of your boys and say, "Hey, man, I need you to come and keep this unattractive, overweight friend of hers busy while I'm with my woman." See, that would be considered your friend is, number 1, he's a wingman, and he's taking one for the team. So my friend called me. He said, "Hey, Alan, man, can you keep the younger cousin busy? Because we're like 95% sure we're going to end up getting some pussy on Saturday night. But we need you to keep the younger cousin distracted so that she don't mess things up." And at one point, he actually said, he said, "Alan, I hate to tell you this, but you ain't going to get no pussy from a younger cousin because, she just ain't a freak like that. She's like kind of a good girl type." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." So anyway, that part I was willing to give you some of the details of the story. But anyway, without getting too many other specific details of verbal selection story number 1, for the first roughly hour and 15 minutes of that triple date, I was trying to be mode 2. I was trying to be the well-mannered, classy gentleman. And in terms of letting her know my sexual interest, I was kind of like just beating around the bush. This woman, in response to me being the mode 2 gentleman, was talking to me in real blunt terms like I was a beta male bitch boy. That's one of my terms if you're not familiar with that. That's the worst of being a beta male, is a beta male bitch boy. She was talking to me like I was a beta male bitch boy when I was being mode 2. So let's pause right there. Let's pause right there. If it's all about my looks, how come she didn't just drop her panties just based on my fucking pretty boy looks? Drops Mike. Drops Mike. If it's just all about looks, how come this woman, when I was being mowed too did not just drop her panties based on my, I was a light-skinned pretty boy for the first hour and 15 minutes of that triple date. And this woman talked to me like I was a piece of shit. So for all these niggas that be talking about, oh man, it's all about your light-skinned pretty boy looks, they goddamn lie. Because if it was all about my light-skinned pretty boy looks, that woman would have dropped her panties just looking at me. And I have had that happen, particularly when I was a senior in high school. Now, if there's one time I will say I got a lot of pussy almost strictly based on my looks, was my senior in high school. I've talked about it on my videos. My senior in high school, pretty much every woman I had sex with just pretty much gave me the pussy. Like, I didn't have to use no verbal game. They just gave me the pussy. I call that simply attraction. I've talked about it in my videos. That means you score pussy just based on attraction. When you, here's another time you're getting pussy based on attraction, and more specifically based on a combination of your physical appearance and your demeanor and disposition. If you ain't got to spend no money on a woman to get in bed, and number two, you ain't got to use no type of verbal game to get that woman in bed. That woman just looks at you and looks at you like, damn, you fine. You can have this pussy. That's when you're getting pussy based on your looks. And again, the only real time I've had that happen was my senior in high school. My senior in high school, pretty much every woman I had sex with, and more specifically casual sex with, they just would look at me and say, damn, you're a fine motherfucker. Here's my number. You fine. I had it like that. If there is one year I had it like that, was my senior in high school, where women just would look at me and be like, damn, you fine. But starting with my freshman year in college, I never really had that happen. Maybe 1 or 2% of the time. But generally, man, I never had no woman just give me pussy just based on looking at me and saying, damn, you fine. Here's the pussy. And anyway, going back to that verbal seduction story number one, my looks didn't change during that triple date. I had the same looks. But when I was mowed too, this woman wasn't even close to giving me no pussy. She wasn't even close to giving me no pussy. It wasn't until I became mode one with her that she dropped them panties and basically became my personal sex slave. And all the guys in the chat room on my book, particularly the audiobook version, they know what I'm talking about. She pretty much became my personal sex slave after I started becoming mode one with her. So anyway, all that to say that anybody who says that oh, Alan, you just get pussy because you're a light-skinned pretty boy, man, I don't like to do this on a live stream, and man, take that finger, man, and put it where you know where you need to. I'm so sick of that shit. Again, that's a YouTube thing, man. That's a YouTube thing. That's some YouTube hating ass, jealous ass bullshit. That's some goofy ass YouTube shit. My mouthpiece has got me way more pussy in my life than just simply my look, my quote unquote pretty boy looks. I can guarantee you that. I'll put money on that. Even the women who I've had sex with would tell you that. If you were to be able to talk to them, they would tell you that. I've had way more women that have literally told me that my mouthpiece got me in bed with more women. I would say in general, it's a combination of both. In general, I would say it's a combination of my looks and my mouthpiece. But if I had to specifically lean towards one or the other, my mouthpiece has contributed much more to my success with women, and particularly casual sex success, than my looks. And again, the best example would be verbal seduction story number one. Again, you can tell, here's when you can tell when your looks is the main reason why a woman gets some pussy. Again, I already told you, here's when you can tell in simple terms if your looks is the number one reason why you get some pussy. If you didn't have to use no verbal game at all, you really didn't have to engage in any type of conversation with a woman at all, and you didn't have to spend no money on her. And you didn't, well, if I done one more thing, third thing, you didn't have to promise her no long-term monogamy, no long-term commitment. If you didn't have to do any of those three things to get a woman in bed, you didn't have to spend no money on her, you didn't have to take her out on no date, you didn't have to engage in any written, pretty much any conversation with her, and you didn't have to promise her any type of long-term commitment or monogamy, and she just basically looked at you and start complimenting your facial looks or your physique and just basically let you know that she wanted to give you some pussy, that's when you can tell that you're getting pussy because of your looks alone. Looks alone is when a woman just, like, again, my senior in high school, I had it like that. Women would just look at me and be like, damn, you fine. Damn. Here's my phone number. Call me. You fine. I wouldn't even have to say shit. I wouldn't have to say nothing to these women. So yeah, man, any guy coming here saying that goofy ass shit, they're going to get kicked the fuck out. They're going to get kicked the fuck out. Okay, I was making a point that I heard this young brother a few days ago. Again, it had to do with the issue of is Alan Roger Currie's advice outdated? Here's what this young brother said. He said, Alan Roger Currie, he first complimented me. He said, you know, he likes a lot of my advice. He particularly likes a lot of the advice I offer in my books, The Possibility of Sex and The Beta Male Revolution. And but he was like, under the category of is his advice outdated, he said, here's where I do agree. Here's where I do agree that Alan Roger Currie's advice is somewhat outdated. He said, if you listen to Alan Roger Currie talk about casual sex and his description of a fuck buddy, what he calls, you know, a casual sex lover is the formal term and the informal term is fuck buddy. He said, if you listen to his definition and description from a fuck buddy, he said it's far different than most brothers my age. This guy talking, I want to say, I don't know his exact age. He's somewhere between 31 and 33. He's somewhere between 31 and 33, and I'm 58. So I'm at least 25 years older than him. He said, he said, most brothers my age, we don't define a casual sex lover or a fuck buddy in the way that Alan Roger Currie. Like he said, for example, Alan Roger Currie basically says, somebody said, great question. What great question? Oh, Seducer said, ARC, if you could speak to your 18-year-old self, what would you say? Oh, that's too lengthy. I can't answer that in like 30 seconds. Man, there's so much shit I would say to my 18-year-old self. My 18-year-old self would probably walk away. I would be so long-winded. Man, it would be like talking to my son. I'm probably going to talk to my son when he gets older. God willing. Yeah, man, I would have so much. Oh, man. That would not be a short conversation. I'll just put it that way. That would probably be at least, on my part, that would be at least a 2-hour conversation. That's minimum. Minimum, it'd be at least a 2-hour conversation. But if I had to sum it up to just one thing, if somebody said, Alan, just name one quick thing, one thing only, that I would say to my 18-year-old self, I would tell my 18-year-old self, most women are actresses. That would be probably the simplest piece of advice I would give to my 18-year-old self. You know, about whenever I talk about women being sexually duplicitous. That's the first thing I would tell about to my 18-year-old self. I would say, man, well, technically, I already knew that by the age of 18. So really, I didn't know it to the extent that I do now. But that's when I first started learning that women were sexually duplicitous, because I used to have girls throw pussy at me even when they had a boyfriend. Y'all heard me talk about that on videos. That was kind of the first seed for me understanding that most women were sexually duplicitous. I think girls, I would sometimes go to like basketball games, football games. Man, I swear to God, girls would be like standing 2 or 3 feet away from their boyfriend, and they would look at me and mouth the words, "You are fine." You couldn't hear it, but they would go. That's what women would do to me when I was in high school. And other women, sometimes girls would pass me their number with their boyfriend about maybe 2, 3, 4 feet away. They would give me their phone number and tell me to call them. So just based on those experiences, I technically already was starting to understand, but it wasn't close to what I know now about women. But that would be one of the major things, because that's one of the major bases of why I developed Mode 1 in the first place. It was after I understood how sexually duplicitous women are. I ain't saying all women, 100% of women, but the vast majority of women in society, man, are sexually duplicitous actresses. That's what they are. They're sexually duplicitous actresses. In other words, when they're around some men, they're going to present themselves as an innocent, wholesome, relationship-oriented, monogamy-oriented good girl. But then when they're in the company of other guys, they're going to let it be known that they're basically a kinky freak who's down engaged in a few episodes of casual sex. That's the essence of a woman being sexually duplicitous. Oh, somebody watched my last live stream and they said, Alan, you was briefly talking about your dark side and you mentioned your brother bought you a book. What book is that? Here's the book. I don't know if you can see it. The Upside of Your Dark Side is the book my brother bought me. Yep. That's the book my brother bought me, man, because he know I got a major dark side. Now, going back to what this young brother, I keep getting distracted, but moderators, stay on your job. The only reason I made anybody a moderator here, man, I see somebody else look like they potentially trolling. Alan, some guy named Alvin T. Watkins said Alan's good looking. Well, for now, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let it go. So you don't have to ban him or anything right now. Just let it go for now. But again, man, people come in my chat room talking about that old, you a light-skinned pretty boy bullshit, man. I don't want to hear that shit, man. That's a bannable offense. I want to hear that shit. Because that's goofy. That's goofy. Oh, okay. Well, if you, I'm gonna leave it up to you moderators. If you think Alvin T. Watkins wasn't worthy of being, having his comment deleted, or if he's just being complimentary, so be it. Anyway, I see I keep getting distracted from my main point. Okay, so this young brother, he said, here's why I do think Alan Roger Currie's advice is a bit outdated. His advice is a bit outdated. He said, when Alan Roger Currie talks about having a casual sex lover, i.e. a fuck buddy, he says he don't take them out on any dates. He don't take them out on no movie date. He don't take them out on no dinner date. He don't take them out on no lunch date. He basically says he don't really spend no money on them. And he said for all practical purposes, he don't spend any time with them non-sexually at all. Which is technically what a fuck buddy is. And that is, again, going to my pedantic side, that's what a true fuck buddy is. A true fuck buddy is somebody you just hook up with to have sex with. You don't spend any time with them non-sexually. If you spend time with a woman both sexually and non-sexually, then that means that woman is either your wife, your fiance, your girlfriend, or at bare minimum, that means that woman's what's known as a polyamorous lover. A polyamorous lover. For example, one type of polyamorous lover would be a friends with benefits partner. Friends with benefits partner would be an example of a polyamorous lover. And speaking of that, that's what this young brother went on to say. He said, he said, I'm generalizing, but most of us young brothers, when we use the term fuck buddy, we're more so talking about like a friends with benefits partner. He said, we're more so talking about a friends with benefits partner. And I don't totally disagree with him in respect to guys in his age group. Because if you remember, I did a video probably, I don't know, about 2-3 weeks ago. Look at my archives. I did a video talking about the difference between a fuck buddy and a friends with benefits partner. And I said that. I said, I noticed that a lot of younger guys tend to confuse and conflate what it means to be a fuck buddy from what it means to be a friends with benefits partner. And that's what this young brother was doing this last year, was basically saying. He said, most young brothers, we don't really talk about, when we talk about fuck buddy, we're not talking about what Alan Roger Currie describes. We're more so talking about a friends with benefits partner. And he went on to make the argument. He said, this is why I feel like Alan Roger Currie is outdated, because he said, I don't think you could get that type of fuck buddy anymore, the type that Alan Roger Currie describes. He said, I think the only time those type of fuck buddies existed was in the 70s, 80s, and maybe early to mid 90s. He said, but starting with the late 90s and early 2000s up until now, he said, women are not going to go for that. That's what he said. He said, women are not going to go for that. Women are going to expect that you're going to spend time with them both sexually and non-sexually. And I got to mention my rival dating coach again here, Alpha Male Strategy. As most people, if you know the backstory, how I first came across Alpha Male Strategies, he used to be a commenter in my comment section between roughly August of 2017 and like late November, early December of 2017, before he started marketing himself as a dating coach. He used to be in my comment section, if not regularly, semi-regularly. He used to be in my comment section. And I remember specifically the first disagreement he and I ever had was related to what this young brother said on his live stream. I remember Alvin Strategy, this was back in like, I think October of 2017. He said that in my comment section one time. He said, because I was talking about on a video how I never take women out on dates if my objective is short-term, non-monogamous, casual sex. And Alvin Strategy basically was like, well, man, Alan, here goes the pretty boy thing again, but I told you how much I don't like that. But that's what he said. I'm slightly paraphrasing words, but this is what AMS said at the time. He said, well, Alan, man, I think the only reason you can get away with not getting pussy without taking women out on dates is because the women you mess around with must be women who view you as a pretty boy, a handsome pretty boy type. He said, but if you average or less than average looking, he was like, man, you can't get away with getting casual sex from women without taking them out on at least 2 or 3 dinner dates, 2 or 3 lunch dates, a couple movie dates. He said, you can't do it. He said, you got to spend some degree of time with women, not both sexually and non-sexually, if you're an average or less than average looking guy. He said, you just have to. And I told him, I said, I disagree. And we ended up going back and forth. But yeah, that's what this young brother who did this live stream a few days ago was basically saying. He said, man, that's the one thing I do. One piece of advice, I think Alan Roger Currie's advice is outdated. He said, man, he makes it seem like a guy can easily get women in bed without taking them on any dates, without spending any money on them, and without spending any time with them non-sexually. And he said, man, among guys my age, I just don't see that happening. He said, it might happen for guys in Alan's generation, his age group. But he said, for guys my age, I don't see guys accomplishing that. He said, most guys don't even want that. He said, most guys my age, they want more of a friends with benefits. They want a woman that's almost like a girlfriend, but they want a non-monogamous situation. They want a woman that's almost like a girlfriend, but they want it to be non-monogamous, at least on their behalf. And see, this was the key point when he said, and I noticed a lot of young guys said it. He said guys want it to be non-monogamous on their end, but they don't want their friends with benefits partner to be non-monogamous. They want her to be monogamous. That's rarely going to happen. I ain't going to say that's impossible, but that's rare. That's rare. That's rare, man. For you to get a woman to agree to be in a polyamorous relationship with you, and she just gives you a green light to fuck any woman you want to, but at the same time she's being strictly monogamous with you, you have to have super strong game to pull that off. I'm just telling you right now. You have super strong game to pull that off. But to his point of it being outdated, I still disagree. Number one, whether you want a fuck buddy, what I truly define as a fuck buddy, or a friends with benefits partner, you still got to be more one. You still got to be more one. You still got to be straight up with women about what you want. That's what more one is all about. Whatever type of sexual relationship you want with a woman, you got to be more one about it. So, in that respect, how is any of my advice outdated? Even if you want a friends with benefits partner instead of a true fuck buddy, you still got to be more one. And as far as him saying women of today, particularly younger women, don't go for my description of a fuck buddy, I don't 100% agree with that. I mean, I can't speak for all women who are in their 20s or early to mid 30s, but I'll say I've dealt with quite a few younger women in the 21st century, which would be starting with 2000. I've dealt with women that were 10 years younger than me, 15 years younger than me. As most people know, my wife is 28 years younger than me, but she's not a fuck buddy or a friends with benefits partner. She's my wife. But I've had fuck buddies who were, okay, I'll give you an example, and I've told this story before. Probably my youngest to date, particularly in the 21st century, happened in 2017. In 2017, it was in Orlando, Florida. I was 54 years old, and I casually fucked a woman that was 22 years old. So you're talking about a 32-year difference. I was 54, she was 22. I didn't spend no time with her non-sexually. I didn't spend no money on her. I didn't spend no time with her non-sexually. And I was still able to fuck her. So for this young brother to say that those type of women don't exist, I might agree with him that the number of those type of women or the percentage of those type of women might have decreased. I might agree with that the number of women willing to be a true fuck buddy might have decreased. But as far as saying they don't exist at all, that's bullshit. Yeah, he basically made the argument. He said the only way you could get pussy from a woman without spending any time with her non-sexually is if you trick it. That's what he specifically said. He said that's why most young guys are about tricking. He said the only way you go score casual sex from a woman without spending any time with her non-sexually is if you trick it. I vehemently disagree with that assertion. Based on my own experiences, I vehemently disagree with that assertion. I have had casual sex with women starting with the year 2000, which was the first year of the 21st century. Since people always say, well, all his success happened in the 20th century and not the 21st century. No, that's bullshit. That's total bullshit. Now, granted, I probably would say if we're doing a direct comparison, I probably did fuck more women casually in the 20th century than I have in the 21st century. But that's not to say I haven't fucked any women in the 21st century. I have fucked less women casually in the 21st century than I did in the 20th century. But starting with 2000 to right before I fucked my wife, shoot, I fucked a good number of women casually. A good number of women casually. And most of them were, if not all of them were what I call a true fuck buddy, meaning that I didn't spend no money on them and I didn't spend no significant amount of time with them non-sexually. Because again, that's not a fuck buddy. Again, if you're spending time with a woman both sexually and non-sexually, almost equally, then that's not a fuck buddy. That's a friends with benefits partner. That's a friends with benefits partner. I've had a couple of those. In my lifetime, in general, I would say I probably had about 5 of those. I've had about 5 women, starting with the age of 18 up until now. I've had about 5 women in my life that were more so friends with benefits partners than just flat out fuck buddies, where I spent time with them both sexually and non-sexually. But anyway, bottom line, I disagree with the assertion that his main argument was that my description of a fuck buddy is outdated, was what he basically said. He said Alan Roger Currie's description of a fuck buddy is outdated. His main argument was most young guys today, they want more of a friends with benefits partner than what Alan Roger Currie describes as a fuck buddy. That's probably true for his guys in his generation. But my response to that is you still got to be more one. I want to thank everyone who super chatted me today. I want to thank everybody who joined me today. Got a lot of likes. Got 157 likes. So I went off on a couple of digressions, a couple of tangents, but my main reason for coming on today was to talk about how my YouTube live streams is going to be distinctively different than my Patreon exclusive live streams, which I do twice a month. Again, if I had to give a recap, there's at least 4 or 5 differences between my YouTube live streams compared to my Patreon exclusive live streams. Number one, with YouTube live streams, I'm not going to be answering advice-oriented questions from the chat room. Even if you super chat, I'm not going to be doing that. I know that disappoints some guys. Some guys probably be disappointed with that. But if you want to get answers from a question from chat room, then you need to become either a $5 or $10 Patreon subscriber of mine and ask me questions and when I do my Patreon exclusive live stream. That's when I answer direct questions, advice-oriented questions. So that's the main difference. Number 2, I'm not 98 to 99% of the time, I'm not going to be bringing people up to basically chop it up with me, whether it be somebody from the chat room or another dating coach. I'm not going to be doing it. It might be 1 or 2% of the time I might do that in the future, but generally it's just going to be me talking. I'm not going to be doing like panel discussions. Number 3, I'm not going to be doing any celebrity gossip. Because as I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, I know a lot of the celebrities, a lot of celebrities that people gossip about on YouTube, I either know them personally or I know someone who knows them personally. One of those two. I either know them or I know someone who knows them personally. Like, again, the one example I gave out, like Will Smith, I know his first wife. Me and her used to be real tight. We haven't talked in a while, but we used to talk all the time through Facebook. Will Smith's first wife. So that's like just 1 degree of separation, man. That's 1 degree of separation. So you ain't gonna hear me on here, even though I did do one video where I was talking about the whole Jada entanglement situation. But generally, I ain't gonna be talking about guys, particularly black celebrities, if I either know them or I know somebody who knows them, I'm not going to be talking about them in a disparaging manner. Unless the only exception is if they did something that I feel directly relates to my whole Mode 1 philosophy and the contents of one or more of my books. Fourth thing I'm not going to be doing is doing real lengthy live streams, even though this went longer than I wanted it to. My average is going to be about 90 minutes or less. That's going to be my average for most of my YouTube live streams, is 90 minutes or less. This one went about 2 hours and 15 minutes. 2 hours and 15 minutes. But I'm not going to be doing no like 4 hour, 6 hour, 8 hour, 10 hour, 12 hour live streams. Not going to be doing none of that shit. What else? I think that might be about it. Oh, and I'm not going, my fifth thing, well, this is the same as my Patreon Susa live stream. I'm not going to tolerate, man, haters and harsh critics in my chat room. And that's the whole reason why I selected certain people to be moderators. And that's when they're going to have to do a good job being a moderator. I don't want people coming in my chat room being a hater, a jealous, envious hater, or somebody who's trying to offer harsh critiques of my Mode 1 philosophy and my Mode 1 approach. I'm not going to tolerate that, man. Q497 says, this is my first ARC live stream. I feel smarter already, and I am 106 years old. Hey, go Mode 1. You funny. You funny. Seducer says, thank you, Alan, for this. You're very welcome. Thank you, Alan, for the live stream. You're very welcome. Yeah. Anyway, thank you all. I appreciate you joining me today. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening, and weekend. If you're a Patreon subscriber, I will see you tomorrow. I'll be having a Patreon live stream tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And again, in my Patreon live streams, that's where I do take advice-oriented questions from the chat room. All right. Take care. Peace out.